The morning sky above New Busan Colony turned dark as massive ships blocked out the sun. Hyun-woo Park stood at the window of the command center, watching shadows fall across the settlement he had helped build over the past 10 years. The coffee in his hands grew cold as he counted the alien vessels. 37 warships, each one larger than anything humans had ever built. "Sir, we're getting a transmission," called out So-young Kim from her position at the communications desk. Her voice shook slightly, but her hands remained steady on the controls. "It's coming from the biggest ship." Hyun-woo set down his cup and walked to the center of the room. Around him, the colony's leadership gathered. Min-ho Kim, the head of planetary defense, stood with his arms crossed. His weathered face showed no fear, only calm attention. Ji-hee Lee, their chief scientist, pulled up data screens. Dong-hyun Choi, who kept the colony's records, activated the recording systems. "Put it through," Hyun-woo said. The air in the center of the room shimmered. Light bent and twisted until a figure appeared. The alien was massive, easily 3 meters tall. 4 powerful arms extended from a broad torso, covered in what looked like natural armor. Its head was elongated, with eyes that glowed like hot coals. Scars marked its face and arms, telling stories of countless battles. "I am General Vorthak, the Conqueror," the figure announced. Its voice was deep and carried the weight of absolute authority. "I speak for the galactic hegemony. You will listen." The humans remained silent. Hyun-woo stepped forward slightly, showing he was the one in charge. "Your species has been evaluated," Vorthak continued. "You are primitives from a backwater world. Your technology is crude. Your military is weak. Your resistance would be meaningless." The general raised all 4 arms in a gesture that clearly meant dominance. "By the authority of the hegemony, I demand your immediate surrender. All humans on this world will kneel before me within 1 rotation of your star. You will accept hegemony rule. You will serve as the hegemony decides." Several of the colony leaders shifted nervously. Tae-young's son, who managed emergency services, gripped the back of a chair. Soo-jin Han, their best engineer, stared at the alien with wide eyes. But Min-ho Kim remained perfectly still, and a small smile began to form on his lips. "If you refuse," Vorthak went on, "my fleet will turn your world to glass. Every building will burn. Every human will die. Your choice is simple. Kneel or be destroyed." The transmission paused. The alien general stood waiting, clearly expecting immediate submission. His glowing eyes swept over the assembled humans with obvious contempt. Hyun-woo looked around the room at his people. These were farmers, teachers, engineers, doctors. They had come to New Busan to build something new, something better. They had worked in the soil with their hands. They had raised children. They had created a home. But Hyun-woo also knew their histories. Min-ho Kim had served in Earth's special forces before becoming a farmer. Ji-hee Lee had studied Earth's most dangerous ecosystems before coming here to grow crops. Even Soo-jin Han, who fixed water pumps and power systems, had learned her skills maintaining equipment in Earth's harsh polar regions. "General Vorthak," Hyun-woo said, stepping closer to the hologram. "I thank you for your introduction." The alien's eyes narrowed at the calm tone. "However," Hyun-woo continued, "I must point out a cultural misunderstanding. You see, on this world we have certain customs about hospitality." Min-ho Kim's smile grew wider. He understood where this was going. "You have arrived uninvited," Hyun-woo said. "You have made demands without proper greeting. You have threatened our families without cause. This makes you, by definition, a rude guest." Vorthak's 4 arms tensed. "I am not your guest, primitive. I am your conqueror." "Ah, but you are in our space now," Hyun-woo replied pleasantly. "Above our world, breathing our air when you land, using our resources when you stay. That makes you a guest. whether you intended it or not. The alien general leaned forward, his massive form seeming to fill the projection space. Your word games change nothing. You will kneel. Hyunwoo shook his head slowly. I'm afraid that's not how it works here, General. You see, we have a very old custom on this world, a rule that has served us well. He paused, looking directly into the alien's glowing eyes. Guests bow first. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Around the room, the other humans began to straighten. The fear that had filled the space moments before started to change into something else, something harder. Vorthak's armored hide darkened with what might have been anger. You dare make demands of me? I have conquered 47 worlds. I have crushed species far more advanced than your pathetic kind. I'm sure. You have, Min-ho Kim said, speaking for the first time. His voice was conversational, almost friendly. But I noticed something interesting about your list of conquests, General. The alien turned his attention to the defense coordinator. 47 worlds, Min-ho continued. All of them more advanced than us. All of them with better technology. All of them with superior weapons. He paused. All of them failed to stop you. Precisely, Vorthak growled. Which is why your resistance is pointless. Min-ho nodded thoughtfully. But here's what I find curious. You said they were more advanced, better equipped, stronger, and yet they all fell to you relatively quickly, didn't they? The general said nothing, but his posture suggested agreement. That tells me something important, Min-ho said. It tells me that advanced technology and superior weapons aren't everything. It tells me that maybe, just maybe, you've never fought anyone like us before. There is nothing special about humans, Vorthak snarled. Ji-Hai Lee stepped forward. Her scientific mind had been analyzing the alien's appearance, his posture, his responses. General, may I ask a question about your homeworld? The alien looked confused by the change of topic, but gestured for her to continue. What's the gravity like? The atmospheric pressure? The radiation levels from your sun? Standard parameters. Vorthak replied, clearly puzzled. Why does this matter? Just curious about the conditions that produced such an impressive warrior, Ji-Hai said innocently. I'm sure your world was perfectly suited for developing strong, intelligent life. Of course, the general said with pride. The hegemony represents the finest worlds in the galaxy. The finest, Ji-Hai repeated. Safe, stable, predictable. Something in her tone made Vorthak's eyes narrow again. Hyunwoo stepped forward once more. General, you've given us one rotation to decide. We accept your time frame. You will surrender? Vorthak asked. We will give you our answer, Hyunwoo replied. One rotation. But I want to be very clear about something. He looked directly at the alien commander. When you return for our response, remember our custom. On this world, in our space, above our homes, guests bow first. The transmission ended. The hologram flickered and disappeared. For a moment, the command center was silent. Then Min-ho Kim began to laugh. It started quietly but grew until his whole body shook with it. Guests bow first, he said between chuckles. I love it. Hyunwoo turned to face his people. Everyone knows what they need to do, nods all around. They had planned for this day, hoped it would never come, but planned nonetheless. Then let's get to work, Hyunwoo said. We have one rotation to prepare for some very rude guests. Aboard the Hegemony flagship, General Vorthak paced in his command chamber. His forearms moved restlessly as he tried to understand what had just happened. In over 200 battles, no species had ever spoken to him that way. The humans. Words echoed in his mind. Guests bow first. Commander Zax, Vorthak called to his intelligence officer, bring me everything we know about these humans. Zax approached with a data tablet clutched in his three-fingered hands. He was smaller. Then Vorthak, from a species known for their analytical minds. Sir, our initial scans classified them as minimal threat. Primitive technology, simple weapons, basic defenses. Then why do I feel like I just threatened a predator? Vorthak growled. On New Busan's surface, Ji-Hai Lee sat in her laboratory, surrounded by screens and data feeds. Her fingers flew across keyboards as she pulled up files, research papers, and historical records. Around her, other scientists worked frantically to compile information. Kyung-min. "Oh!" she called to her assistant. "I need you to calculate Earth's gravity compared to galactic standard." Kyung-min's eyes widened as he ran the numbers. "Ji-Hye, this can't be right. It says Earth's gravity is 3 times the galactic average." "Check it again," Ji-Hye said calmly. A few minutes later, Kyung-min looked up with pale face. "The numbers are correct. How do we even walk around?" Ji-Hye smiled grimly. "We evolved for it. Get me atmospheric pressure readings next." Meanwhile, Dong-Hyun Choi worked in the colony's historical archives. As the settlement's record keeper, he had access to Earth's complete database: military conflicts, evolutionary biology, survival statistics, everything that made humans what they were. "So Young," he called to the communications officer, "I need an open channel to the alien fleet, wide broadcast." "Are you sure?" So Young asked. "They could trace it back to us." "That's exactly what I want," Dong-Hyun replied. Within an hour, Ji-Hye and Dong-Hyun had prepared their presentation. They stood in the colony's main broadcasting station, looking into cameras that would send their message directly to every ship in Vorthak's fleet. "Greetings to the galactic hegemony," Ji-Hye began. Her voice was calm and professional, like a teacher giving a lecture. "I am Ji-Hai Lee, xenobiologist and evolutionary specialist. I understand there may be some confusion about human capabilities, so I'd like to provide some educational material." Aboard the flagship, Vorthak watched the transmission with growing unease. Something about the human female's tone bothered him. She spoke like someone explaining simple facts to children. "Let's start with our homeworld," Ji-Hai continued. "Earth has a surface gravity of 9.8 meters per second squared. Our scans of your ships suggest your species evolved under approximately 3.2 meters per second squared. This means every human child grows up carrying 3 times their body weight compared to galactic standard." In the fleet, alien crew members began looking at each other nervously. "Our atmospheric pressure at sea level is 101.3 kilopascals, Ji-Hai went on. "Galactic standard appears to be around 35 kilopascals. Humans live and work comfortably in conditions that would crush most galactic species." Dong-Hyun stepped into view. "I'm Dong-Hyun Choi, colony historian. I'd like to add some context about human development. Dr. Lee mentioned our physical environment, but evolution shaped us in other ways too." He activated a holographic display, showing Earth's ecosystem. "Humans evolved as persistence hunters on a world where almost everything was designed to kill us. We learned to hunt in packs because individual survival was nearly impossible." The display showed images of Earth's predators: lions, tigers, bears, sharks, venomous snakes, disease-carrying insects. "We shared our world with creatures that could kill us in seconds," Dong-Hyun explained. "So we learned to think faster, plan better, and work together more effectively than any individual predator." On the flagship, Commander Zax ran urgent calculations. "Sir, if these numbers are accurate, humans are living weapons. Their bone density alone would make them nearly indestructible by our standards." Vorthak's eyes never left the screen. Ji-Hai continued her lesson. "Over millions of years, humans developed several survival traits. First, we became endurance specialists. We can track prey for days without stopping. Second, we developed pattern recognition abilities that let us predict behavior and adapt tactics in real time. Third, Dong-hyun added. We learned to use tools. Not just simple tools, but complex systems that multiply our natural abilities. We took the deadliest creatures on our world and turned them into our companions. The display showed humans with dogs, horses, and other domesticated animals. We didn't just survive alongside predators, Dong-hyun said. We made them part of our pack. In the fleet, alien soldiers began to shift uncomfortably. Many came from worlds where the dominant species had evolved from prey animals. The idea of turning predators into allies was foreign and terrifying. Now, Ji-hai said, let's talk about human medicine. Because we evolved in such a dangerous environment, our bodies learn to survive massive trauma. We can lose up to 40% of our blood and still function. We can survive broken bones, torn muscles, and organ damage that would kill most species instantly. She paused to let that sink in. We also develop something called adrenaline response. When humans face mortal danger, our bodies release chemicals that make us faster, stronger, and less sensitive to pain. We literally become more dangerous when we're injured. Dong-hyun stepped forward again. But perhaps most importantly, we learned to share information instantly across large groups. Human pack tactics involve real-time communication, coordinated strategy, and adaptive planning. We don't just fight as individuals, we fight as a collective intelligence. Every human knows that individual survival depends on group survival, Ji-hai added. So we never abandon our pack members. We never retreat if others are in danger, and we never forgive threats to our families. The transmission paused. Both humans looked directly into the camera. General Vorthak, Ji-hai said, you've conquered 47 worlds. Congratulations, but I suspect those worlds all had something in common. They were probably nice places to live, safe, stable. Their dominant species evolved in comfort. Earth is not a nice place, Dong-hyun said flatly. Earth is a death world, and humans are what a death world produces when it wants to create the perfect survivor. The broadcast ended. Aboard the flagship, absolute silence filled the command deck. Crew members stared at their instruments, afraid to make eye contact with their general. Commander Zax cleared his throat nervously. Sir, should we verify their claims? Vorthak stood motionless for a long moment. Then he turned to his science officer. Run deep scans on their world. Gravity, atmosphere, radiation levels, everything. I want biological scans of every human in that colony. 2 hours later, the results came back. Every claim had been accurate. If anything, the humans had understated their capabilities. Sir, Zax said quietly, our models suggest that humans are physically superior to every species in the hegemony. Their reaction times are faster, their endurance is greater, and their ability to function under stress exceeds our measurement. Scales. Vorthak stared at the data. How is this possible? How did our intelligence miss this? Because we classified them based on their technology, Zax replied. We never considered that a primitive species might be primitive by choice, not limitation. The general's forearms clenched into fists. It doesn't matter. Superior biology means nothing against superior firepower. We have the weapons to destroy their world from orbit. Yes, sir, Zax agreed. But, sir, what? What if they know that? What if they're not afraid because they have a plan? Vorthak looked out at the human colony below. For the first time in his career, he wondered if he had made a mistake. General Vorthak stood before his assembled ground commanders in the flagship's main briefing room. The massive chamber held representatives from 12 different species, all elite warriors who had helped conquer dozens of worlds. Their various forms filled the space with clicking, growling, and mechanical breathing sounds. The humans have had their full rotation, Vorthak announced. They have chosen to maintain their defiance. Therefore, we will demonstrate the futility of resistance. Commander Crix, an insectoid warrior with razor-sharp limbs, clicked his approval. "General, my shock troops can pacify the main settlement within 1 standard hour. My heavy assault units will crush any defensive positions," added Commander Nex, whose species resembled living stone. "These soft mammals cannot withstand proper military force," Vorthak nodded. "Deploy 2,000 troops to the surface. Establish control of their main settlement. Take prisoners for interrogation. Show them the price of challenging the hegemony." On New Busan's surface, Tae Young-sun stood in the colony's emergency command center. Banks of monitors showed feeds from across the settlement. Her team of coordinators worked quietly at their stations, implementing plans they had hoped never to use. "Minho," she called to the defense coordinator. "The evacuation is complete. All non-essential personnel are in the deep shelters." "Minho," Kim nodded. "Good. Sujin, are the systems ready?" Sujin Han looked up from her engineering console. "All infrastructure is operating under crisis protocols. Power, water, communications, everything is hardened and redundant." "What about the surprises?" Minho asked. Sujin smiled grimly. "The aliens are going to learn something interesting about human engineering standards. The first hegemony dropships descended through New Busan's atmosphere like falling stars. Each vessel carried 50 soldiers in full combat armor, equipped with energy weapons and personal shields. Their sensors showed a settlement that appeared largely abandoned. Commander Crix led the primary assault force. His compound eyes scanned the empty streets as his troops deployed. "Spread out. Search every building. Find the humans." The alien soldiers moved through the colony with professional efficiency. They checked homes, shops, and offices. But something felt wrong. The buildings were too sturdy, built with materials that seemed excessive for civilian structures. Private Zeth, a reptilian soldier, tried to breach a residential door with his plasma cutter. After several minutes, he barely made a scratch. "Commander, these barriers are reinforced beyond standard construction." "Use explosives," Crix ordered. The explosion that followed was massive, far larger than expected. Instead of destroying the door, it triggered a building-wide emergency system. Heavy shutters slammed down over windows. Blast doors sealed corridors. Emergency lighting bathed everything in red. "What is this?" Crix demanded. In the underground command center, Sujin monitored the alien intrusion. "They just triggered Building Sector 7's lockdown. Emergency systems are responding as designed." "As designed for what?" asked Yuna Kong, the colony's safety instructor. "For surviving everything this world can throw at us," Sujin replied. "Storms that can lift buildings, seismic events, solar, radiation bursts, atmospheric pressure changes. We built everything to assume the worst possible conditions." Above ground, the alien soldiers found themselves trapped in a maze of sealed corridors and reinforced rooms. Their maps showed simple residential buildings, but the reality was different. Every structure was built like a fortress, with multiple backup systems and redundant safety features. "Commander," reported Sergeant Vex, "we're encountering unexpected resistance from the infrastructure itself. Doors that require industrial cutting tools, walls that absorb energy weapons, and corridors that seem to redirect movement." Commander Crix activated his communication system. "General Vorthak, the human settlement is unusually constructed. We need more time to breach their defenses." Aboard the flagship, Vorthak studied tactical displays. "Explain unusually constructed." "Sir, every building appears to be built to military fortress standards. We're using heavy weapons just to open doors." Vorthak's forearms tensed. "They turned their homes into bunkers?" "It appears so, sir." Meanwhile, other alien units discovered more surprises. A squad attempting to access the colony's power plant found that the facility was buried deep underground, protected by multiple layers of armor and defensive systems. The water treatment center was similarly protected, as were communication, arrays, and food storage facilities. "These aren't civilian buildings," reported Commander Nex. "This entire settlement is a military installation disguised as a town." In the command center, Tae-young watched the alien confusion with satisfaction. They're learning that humans don't build anything assuming it will work perfectly forever. "Earth taught us that everything breaks eventually," Minho added, "so we build everything to survive when it does." Dong-hyun Choi pulled up construction, records on his displays. Every building in this colony meets Earth extreme environment standards. That means it can survive Category 5 hurricanes, magnitude 8 earthquakes, direct lightning strikes, and atmospheric pressure variations that would collapse normal structures. "Why?" asked In-soo Park, who had joined them from the engineering section. "Because we're human," Soo-jin answered simply. "We assume everything will try to kill us, so we build accordingly." The alien forces faced another problem. Human engineering didn't just focus on strength, it emphasized redundancy and adaptability. When they cut power to one section, backup, systems activated. When they blocked communications, alternate networks came online. When they tried to flood areas with gas, atmospheric processors kicked in to neutralize the threat. "General," Commander Crix reported with growing frustration, "the humans have built their settlement with systems we don't understand. Every time we neutralize one capability, 2 more appear to replace it." "Give me specifics," Vorthak demanded. "Their power grid has 7 different backup systems. Their communication network operates on 12 separate frequencies. Their water supply comes from 16 different sources, and every critical system is buried so deep underground that we would need orbital bombardment to reach it." Vorthak studied the tactical situation. His forces had been on the surface for 6 hours and had barely managed to secure empty buildings. The humans themselves remained hidden, but their infrastructure continued to operate perfectly despite constant alien interference. "Sir," added Commander Nex, "there's something else. The buildings themselves seem to be fighting us." "Explain." "Doors. That lock behind us. Elevators that stop working. Environmental systems that change temperature and air pressure. It's like the entire settlement is designed to make invasion as difficult as possible." In the command center, Soo-jin monitored building systems across the colony. Automated defense protocols are working perfectly. The aliens are getting the full hostile environment treatment. "What does that mean?" Yuna asked. "It means every building is treating them like a natural disaster," Soo-jin explained. "Sealing off areas, protecting critical systems, making it hard for the threat to spread. The structures don't know the difference between alien invaders and a massive storm, so they're responding the same way." Tae-young smiled. "Earth taught us that the environment itself can be your enemy, so we learned to make our environment our ally." By evening, the alien ground forces controlled maybe 30% of the empty colony surface. They had found no humans, captured no prisoners, and faced constant resistance from buildings that seemed determined to make their lives difficult. "General," Commander Crix reported, "we need to reconsider our approach. This settlement was not built by primitives. This was built by a species that assumes everything in the universe is trying to kill them." Vorthak stared at the tactical displays. His elite forces, veterans of dozens of campaigns, were being frustrated by empty buildings and automated systems. "Sir," his intelligence officer added quietly, "there's something else to consider." "What?" "If this is how they build their homes, what do you think their actual military installations look like?" For the first time since beginning the invasion, General Vorthak felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: doubt. In the deep forests surrounding New Busan Colony, Kyung-min-oh moved through the underbrush with practiced silence. His weathered hands held a simple hunting rifle, but his eyes held the focused intensity of a predator. Behind him, a mixed group of colonists followed: farmers, teachers, shop owners, and mechanics. All of them moved with the quiet confidence of people who knew this terrain intimately. "Contact ahead," whispered Haiwan Jung, the colony's doctor. She crouched behind a fallen log, studying an alien patrol through her binoculars. 6 soldiers, standard formation, heading toward Water Source Delta. Kyung-min nodded and activated his short-range communicator. Pack leader to all units. Prey spotted at grid reference 7 Alpha. 6 individuals moving predictably. Request coordination. The response came immediately from multiple sources. Pack 2 in position at 7 Bravo. Pack 3 has overwatch from Ridgeline. Pack 4 controlling escape routes. Medical team standing by, added HFY quietly. The alien patrol moved through the forest with military precision. Sergeant Klex, a warrior from a species resembling armored lizards, kept his energy rifle ready as he scanned for threats. His squad had been searching for human survivors for 2 days without finding any trace. Strange, muttered Private Yoth. Our scanners show this area should have dozens of life signs, but we see nothing. Stay alert, Klex ordered. These mammals are more cunning than expected. What the aliens didn't realize was that they were already surrounded. Humans had been watching them for hours, learning their patterns, understanding their behavior, and preparing for the perfect moment to strike. Kyung-min spoke into his communicator again. All packs, target confirmation. Prey is following predicted path. Execute Plan Delta in 30 seconds. Pack 2 ready. Pack 3 ready. Pack 4 ready. Medical ready. The attack came from everywhere at once, but not in the way the aliens expected. Instead of energy weapons or explosives, the humans used the forest itself. Trees that had been carefully weakened fell across the alien path, separating the patrol. Ropes triggered by hidden mechanisms tangled legs and weapons. Carefully placed obstacles forced the squad into a natural killing box where every angle was covered by human shooters. Ambush! Sergeant Klex shouted, raising his weapon. But his targeting systems couldn't lock onto enemies who appeared for split seconds before disappearing behind natural cover. The human weapons were simple projectile firearms, but they fired with devastating accuracy. Each shot was carefully placed to disable rather than kill, targeting joints in armor, weapon systems, and communication equipment. They're not trying to kill us, Private Yoth realized. They're hunting us. Within minutes, the entire alien patrol was disabled. Not dead, but completely unable to fight or communicate. They lay on the forest floor, their equipment destroyed, watching as humans emerged from cover like ghosts materializing from the wilderness. HFY! Kyung-min called to the doctor. Check them for injuries. We want prisoners, not corpses. Dr. Jung approached the fallen aliens with her medical kit. Don't worry, she told them in their own language, which she had learned from intercepted communications. We're not going to hurt you. We're just going to ask some questions. Sergeant Klex stared up at the human female. You speak our language? Of course, HFY replied calmly. We've been listening to your communications for days. Your tactical frequencies, your command protocols, your equipment specifications. We know everything about your operations. Impossible, Klex snarled. Our encryption is military grade. Na Young Lee stepped into view. The quantum physicist smiled pleasantly. Your encryption is indeed military grade, for species that think in linear patterns. Humans think in 3-dimensional tactical networks with real-time adaptive modifications. What does that mean? Klex demanded. It means we broke your codes in about 6 hours, Na Young replied. Then we've been feeding false information into your systems while monitoring all your real communications. In another part of the forest, a different kind of hunt was taking place. Woojin Park, the colony's head mechanic, led a team of engineers in tracking down alien supply drops. But instead of attacking the aliens directly, they were studying the equipment. Bo-Ram, Woojin called to their communications specialist. Are you getting clear readings on their power systems? Bo-Ram Shin looked up from her scanning equipment. Perfect readings. Their energy cells use a fusion matrix that's actually simpler than our own designs, and their weapons have a fatal flaw. What kind of flaw? asked Jae-hyun Lim, the psychology professor who had joined the technical team. They're designed for overwhelming firepower against stationary targets, Bo-Ram explained. But they have terrible tracking systems for fast-moving small targets. Essentially, they built weapons to destroy cities, not to hunt individuals. Woo Jin nodded. So they're armed for the wrong kind of war. Exactly. Their equipment assumes enemies will stand and fight in formation. They're not prepared for opponents who appear, attack, and disappear. Meanwhile, throughout the forest, dozens of similar scenes played out. Human teams of 3 to 5 individuals surrounded alien patrols of 6 to 10 soldiers. Every engagement followed the same pattern: careful observation, coordinated positioning, overwhelming tactical advantage, and swift, decisive action. But the humans weren't just fighting, they were learning. Each captured alien was questioned by specialists like Jae-hyun Lim, who understood psychology and interrogation techniques. Each piece of equipment was analyzed by engineers like Woo-Jin Park, who could reverse engineer alien technology with frightening speed. The most important thing we're discovering, reported Sung-Ho Kim to the command center, is that these aliens have never fought an enemy like us before. Sung-Ho had been a naval officer before becoming a colonist. His military experience made him the natural choice to coordinate the forest operations. "Explain," requested Min-Ho Kim from the underground command center. "They fight like a traditional military," Sung-Ho replied. "Hierarchical command structure, predictable tactics, overwhelming force applied directly. They're used to enemies who fight the same way." "But we don't fight that way," Min-Ho observed. "Not even close. We're fighting like a pack of persistence hunters. We study the prey, learn its patterns, coordinate our attack, and strike when we have maximum advantage. Then we disappear before they can respond effectively." In the command center, Tae-young monitored reports from across the operational area. "How many alien patrols have we engaged today?" 17, replied Yuna Kong. 0 human casualties, 34 alien prisoners, and we've captured enough equipment to fully arm 12 more hunting teams." "What about their aerial assets?" Min-Ho asked. "That's the interesting part," Sung-Ho reported. "Their aircraft are designed for high-altitude bombing and long-range assault. They can't effectively target individual humans moving through forest. Cover! And when they try to fly low for better targeting, our hunting teams disappear completely." The human advantage was becoming clear. The aliens fought like a military force trying to conquer territory. The humans fought like predators hunting prey. Every engagement was on human terms, at times and places of human choosing, with human advantages maximized and alien advantages neutralized. "Sir," Bo-Ram reported to the command center, "we're intercepting increased communications between alien units. They're starting to panic." "What kind of panic?" Tae-young asked. "They're reporting that humans appear and disappear like ghosts, that their weapons are ineffective against targets they can't see, that their sensors can't track enemies who know the terrain better than their own equipment." Min-Ho smiled grimly. "They're learning what it feels like to be prey." By the end of the 3rd day, the alien ground forces had lost nearly half their patrols to human hunting teams. Not killed, but captured, disarmed, and effectively removed from the battle. The forest had become a place where aliens entered, but didn't return. General Vorthak stared at tactical reports that made no sense. His forces controlled the empty colony buildings, but they controlled nothing else. The humans had turned the entire world into a hunting ground, and his soldiers were the prey. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We have superior numbers, superior weapons, superior technology." "Sir," his intelligence officer replied quietly, "they have superior knowledge of the terrain, superior coordination between units, and superior understanding of small unit tactics. They're not fighting us like a military. They're hunting us like animals." "Then we'll change tactics," Vorthak snarled. "Orbital bombardment, burn the forests, force them into the open. Sir, if we do that, we'll be destroying the very planet we came to conquer. And the humans are already demonstrating they can survive underground. For the first time in his career, General Vorthak the Conqueror faced an enemy that refused to be conquered. They wouldn't stand and fight, they wouldn't surrender. They just kept hunting, learning, and adapting, and with each passing hour, they became more dangerous. General Vorthak stood in his command chamber, staring at tactical displays that showed a situation unlike anything in his military experience. Red markers indicated lost patrols. Yellow markers showed units that had gone silent. Green markers represented controlled territory, but those green zones were shrinking by the hour. Commander Zax, Vorthak called to his intelligence officer. How many ground units have we lost contact with? Zax consulted his data tablet with trembling hands. 63 patrols, sir. That represents nearly 40% of our ground forces. Lost or destroyed. Unknown, sir. They simply disappear. No distress signals, no battle reports, no debris fields. They enter human territory and vanish. Vorthak's forearms clenched into fists. In 2 centuries of conquest, he had never faced an enemy that could make his soldiers disappear without a trace. Order all remaining ground units to withdraw to secure positions. We'll force these mammals into the open. Sir? Orbital bombardment. Target the forest areas where our patrols were lost. Turn everything to ash. Deep underground in New Busan's command center, sensor arrays detected the energy buildup in the alien fleet above. Warning lights flashed red as automated systems began. Implementing crisis protocols. They're preparing for orbital strikes, Insu Park reported from his engineering station. Multiple ships charging heavy weapons systems. Tae-Young's son activated colony-wide communications. All units, this is Colony Command. Orbital bombardment imminent. Execute deep shelter protocol immediately. Throughout the underground complex, blast doors sealed critical areas. Atmospheric processors switched to internal recycling. Power systems shifted to hardened backup generators buried in the planet's bedrock. How long can we survive a full orbital assault? Asked Minho Kim. Insu checked his system's displays. Depends on how determined they are to turn the surface into glass. Our main facilities can survive direct hits from anything short of planet cracking. Weapons, but they could make the surface uninhabitable for years. Then we need to make sure they understand what that means, said Jihai Li, pulling up biological data on her screens. The first orbital strikes hit the forest areas where alien patrols had vanished. Massive energy beams turned trees to vapor and soil to glass. The explosions were visible from orbit, creating mushroom clouds that rose into the atmosphere. Aboard the flagship, Vorthak watched the bombardment with satisfaction. That should flush out any survivors. But as the smoke cleared, his sensors detected something unexpected. Deep underground, massive structures remained intact. Bunkers, tunnels, and facilities that showed no damage despite taking direct hits from weapons designed to level cities. Sir, reported his weapons officer, the underground installations are undamaged. Our strikes aren't penetrating their defenses. Impossible. Those were civilian installations. Apparently not, sir. We're detecting underground complexes that rival military command bunkers. Multiple levels, redundant systems, and armor plating. That's absorbing our weapons fire. In the deep shelters, human families waited calmly as the world above them burned. Children played games while adults monitored systems and maintained equipment. The underground complex was more than a shelter. It was a complete city designed to survive any catastrophe. How long have you been planning this? Asked Yuna Kang, watching structural integrity displays that showed minimal damage despite the ongoing bombardment. Since the day we first arrived, replied Hyunwoo Park, Earth taught us that everything eventually tries to kill you. So we built accordingly. Dr. Hae-Won-jung moved through the medical sections, checking on colonists and treating the few minor injuries caused by the bombardment's vibrations. The children are asking when they can go back to the surface. Tell them it might be a while. Tae-young replied, but also tell them their grandchildren will probably still be able to live here safely. These shelters were built to last centuries. Above ground, the bombardment continued for hours. The aliens systematically destroyed every forest, every surface structure, every visible sign of human presence. When they finished, New Busan's surface looked like a burned wasteland. Excellent, Vorthak declared. Now scan for survivors. The sensor sweeps revealed a shocking truth. Despite the massive bombardment, life signs remained strong throughout the underground complex. Not only had the humans survived, but their facilities were operating at full capacity. Sir, Zax reported with obvious confusion, they're not just alive down there, they're thriving. Power systems, communications, manufacturing facilities, everything is fully operational. How is that possible? Because they built their entire settlement assuming someone would try to destroy it from orbit, came a new voice. Vorthak turned to see a communication screen activating. The image showed a human female in what appeared to be a medical facility. Despite hours of orbital bombardment, she looked completely calm. I'm Dr. Hei Wan-jung, the human said. I wanted to thank you for the demonstration, General. You've helped us prove that our construction standards are adequate. You should all be dead, Vorthak snarled. Should we? Hei-wan asked pleasantly. General, may I ask about your species' medical capabilities? What does that matter? Humor me. How much blood can your species lose and still function? Vorthak's eyes narrowed. Perhaps 10% before unconsciousness. Interesting. Humans can lose 40% and still fight effectively. How much bone damage can your species survive? Minor fractures require immediate medical attention. Humans regularly survive multiple broken bones and continue normal activities. How much atmospheric pressure variation can your species tolerate? Standard parameters only. Why are you asking these questions? Hei-wan smiled. Because I wanted you to understand something about human medicine, General. We developed our medical knowledge on a world that was constantly trying to kill us. Every human child learns to treat trauma that would be fatal to most galactic species. She gestured to show the medical facility around her. This isn't just a hospital, General. It's a facility designed to keep humans alive through injuries that would destroy other species, and it's buried deep enough underground to survive direct nuclear strikes. Your point? Vorthak demanded. My point is that you just spent hours trying to kill us with orbital bombardment, and now we're going to show you what happens when you make humans angry. The transmission ended. In the command center, Min-ho Kim activated tactical displays showing the real situation. The bombardment accomplished exactly what we hoped it would. Which was, asked Sung-ho Kim. It forced them to reveal their weapons capabilities, their tactical preferences, and their strategic limitations, Min-ho replied. Now we know everything about their offensive systems. And they've just learned something about our defensive systems, added In-soo Park. What's that? That we built this place assuming someone would try to destroy it, and we succeeded. Tae-young studied the displays showing alien fleet positions. They've used a significant portion of their ordnance on the bombardment. Their ships will need time to recharge and resupply. Perfect, Min-ho said with a cold smile, because now it's our turn. Throughout the underground complex, humans began implementing the next phase of their plan. The bombardment hadn't weakened them. It had freed them from any concern about preserving the surface. General Vorthak wanted to see what humans do when we're cornered, Min-ho announced to the colony. Leadership. I think it's time we showed him. Above them, the alien fleet waited in orbit, believing they had won. They had destroyed the surface, eliminated the threat, and demonstrated their superior firepower. They had no idea that they had just woken up something far more dangerous than the humans they thought they had defeated. In the deep shelters, 40,000 humans began preparing for war. Not the defensive, reactive conflict they had been fighting, but the kind of aggressive, coordinated assault that had made their species the apex predator of Earth. The aliens had just learned that humans could survive anything. Now they were about to learn what humans did to enemies who threatened their families. General Vorthak paced in his command chamber like a caged predator. 3 days had passed since the orbital bombardment, and the situation had only grown worse. His fleet hung in space above a burned world, but the humans below showed no signs of surrender. "Status report," he demanded from Commander Zax. "Sir, our remaining ground forces are fortified in the colony's outer structures, but they report constant harassment, equipment failures, communication disruptions, and psychological pressure that's affecting morale." Psychological pressure. "The humans are broadcasting messages directly to our soldiers. Not threats, sir. Educational content." Vorthak's 4 eyes narrowed. "Explain." Zax activated a communication recording. A calm human voice filled the chamber, speaking in perfect hegemony standard. "Greetings to the soldiers of the Galactic Hegemony. This is Professor Jae-hyun Lim from New Busan Colony. I specialize in interspecies psychology, and I'd like to share some observations about your current situation." The voice continued with the tone of a teacher giving a lecture. "You've been deployed to conquer what you were told was a primitive world. However, you've now discovered that your enemy possesses capabilities your intelligence services failed to detect. This creates what we call cognitive dissonance, the stress that occurs when reality contradicts your expectations." Vorthak killed the recording. "How are they broadcasting this?" "Unknown, sir. The messages appear on every frequency simultaneously. Our communications officers can't block them or trace their source." "What else are they saying?" Zax looked uncomfortable. "They're educating our troops about human capabilities. Detailed explanations of human biology, psychology, and tactical doctrine. They're essentially teaching our soldiers why they should be afraid." In the underground complex, Jae-hyun Lim continued his psychological warfare campaign from a communications center buried deep in the planet's crust. Around him, other specialists worked on different aspects of their mental assault on the alien forces. "Bo-ram," he called to the communications expert. "Are we getting good penetration on their command?" "Frequencies?" Bo-ram Shin looked up from her equipment. "Perfect penetration. Their encryption was designed to keep information secret, not to prevent information from getting in. We can broadcast to any ship, any unit, any individual soldier we want." "Excellent. How are our cultural specialists doing?" Na-young Lee approached with a tablet full of data. "We've identified psychological pressure points for each species in their fleet. The lizard-like Kreks respond to challenges to their personal honor. The insectoid Krix are vulnerable to disruption of their hive mind coordination. The rock-like necks become paralyzed when faced with problems they can't solve through direct force." "Perfect," Jae-hyun said. "Let's give each species exactly what they're most afraid of." The human psychological assault was unlike anything the Galactic Hegemony had ever encountered. Instead of trying to intimidate through threats, the humans simply told the truth about what they were capable of. "Attention, Krex warriors," came one broadcast. "Did you know that human children regularly play games that would be considered advanced? Military training by your standards? 6-year-old humans routinely demonstrate tactical thinking, endurance, and pain tolerance that exceed your elite soldier capabilities." Another broadcast targeted the Krix. "Greetings to the Krix Collective. You function through shared mental networks that coordinate your actions. Humans also function as collective intelligence, but each individual human brain is capable of independent operation. This means we can coordinate like you do, but we can't be disrupted the way your networks can." The Nex received their own message. "Hello, Nex Stone Warriors. Your species values strength and direct solutions. However, humans learned long ago that the strongest individual rarely survives. We survive through intelligence, adaptability, and cooperation. Every problem you try to solve with force, we solve with cleverness. Aboard the various ships in the fleet, alien soldiers listened to these broadcasts with growing unease. The humans weren't trying to scare them with impossible claims. They were simply explaining, in calm, educational tones, exactly why the alien soldiers were outmatched. "Sir," reported a Krex commander to Vorthak, "the psychological impact on the troops is severe. They're beginning to question their orders." Humans are using truth as a weapon," added a Krix officer. "They're not lying or exaggerating. They're just helping our soldiers understand the reality of their situation." Vorthak studied reports from across his fleet. Desertion rates were climbing. Soldiers were refusing dangerous assignments. Equipment was being sabotaged, though no one could prove it wasn't accidental. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "They're trapped underground. They have no military forces. They can't even reach our ships." "Sir," Zax said quietly, "I think that's exactly the point. They don't need to reach our ships. They're defeating us without firing a shot." In the underground complex, the human leadership monitored the psychological campaign's effectiveness through intercepted alien communications. "Their morale is collapsing," reported Jae-hyun. "Soldiers are starting to refuse orders. Some units are requesting transfer off-world." "What about their command structure?" asked Minho Kim. "Even more interesting," Jae-hyun replied. "We're detecting increased arguments between different species in their fleet. The stress is causing their alliance to fracture." Tae-young's son studied the tactical displays. "How long before their coalition completely breaks down?" "Hard to say," Jae-hyun admitted. "But we're accelerating the process. Bo-ram, show them the latest broadcast." Bo-ram activated a recording. This time the speaker was Dong-hyun Choi, the colony's historian. "Greetings to the Galactic Hegemony Fleet. I'm Dong-hyun Choi, and I'd like to share some information about human military history that might interest your commanders." His voice remained calm and professional. "Humans have been fighting wars for over 10,000 years. In that time, we've learned something important. The side that wants to be there usually beats the side that doesn't want to be there." He paused to let that sink in. "Your soldiers are professional military personnel following orders to conquer a world they were told would be easy. Our people are defending their homes, their families, and their children. This creates what military historians call asymmetric motivation." Another pause. "Your soldiers want to complete their mission and go home. Our people want to survive. Your soldiers are fighting for duty. Our people are fighting for existence. History shows that duty is a poor motivation compared to survival." The broadcast continued. "Additionally, your forces are operating far from home, with limited supplies and no possibility of reinforcement. Our people are fighting on familiar ground with unlimited local resources and intimate knowledge of terrain. This situation has occurred many times in human history. Professional military forces with superior technology attempting to conquer local populations with inferior equipment but superior motivation. The professional forces almost always lose." The recording ended. Aboard the flagship, Vorthak stared at his command displays. The humans were right. His forces were professional soldiers following orders. The humans were parents defending their children. The psychological dynamic was completely different. "Sir," Commander Zax reported, "we're receiving requests from ship commanders asking for clarification of mission objectives." "What kind of clarification?" "They want to know why we're fighting humans who haven't actually attacked any hegemony worlds. They want to know what we're hoping to accomplish, and they want to know when they can expect to go home." Vorthak realized he was facing something no military academy had prepared him for. An enemy that was defeating his forces not through superior firepower, but through superior understanding of why the battle was being fought. "Sir," added his tactical officer, "there's something else." We're detecting increased communication between our ships and Hegemony Command. The fleet commanders are requesting permission to negotiate. Negotiate what? Withdrawal, sir. They want to leave. For the first time in his career, General Vorthak the Conqueror faced the possibility that his invasion might fail, not because he was defeated in battle, but because his own forces lost the will to fight. The humans had turned war into education, and education into victory, and they were doing it all while trapped underground, with no weapons capable of reaching his fleet. In the deepest levels of the underground complex, Seung-ho Kim stood before a massive chamber filled with salvaged alien equipment. Over the past week, human teams had collected weapons, armor, communication devices, and vehicle components from captured enemy patrols. Now, human engineers were doing what humans did best, making other people's technology work better than its creators had intended. Wu Jin, Sung-ho called to the head mechanic. Status report on the reverse engineering project. Wu Jin Park looked up from an alien energy rifle he had completely disassembled. Remarkable news. Their weapons are actually simpler than ours. Better materials, more efficient power sources, but the basic principles are straightforward. How? Straightforward? We figured out how to manufacture compatible power cells using our own equipment. We've identified weak points in their armor systems, and we've learned to modify their weapons for human use. Ne-Young Lee approached from her workstation, where she had been analyzing alien shield technology. Even better news about their defensive systems. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and high-velocity projectiles, but they have a critical flaw. What kind of flaw? Sung-ho asked. They assume attackers will use the same frequency ranges and energy signatures as other hegemony species. But human technology operates on completely different principles. Our weapons frequencies can pass right through their shields. Sung-ho smiled grimly. So they're protected against themselves, but not against us. Exactly, Na-Young confirmed. It's like they built armor to stop swords and arrows, but we're using something they've never seen before. In another section of the complex, Insu Park led a team of engineers in the most ambitious project yet attempted. They were building spacecraft from salvaged alien components, but designed according to human specifications. The good news, Insu reported to the Leadership Council, is that alien technology is modular and standardized across their entire fleet. Components from different ships can be integrated together. The bad news? Asked Tae-Young's son. There's no bad news, Insu replied with a grin. Their standardization means we can build hybrid vehicles that combine the best features of multiple alien designs, then modify them with human improvements. What kind of improvements? Min-ho Kim wanted to know. Redundant systems, multiple. Backup capabilities, and adaptive responses to damage. Essentially, we're building alien ships that think like human ships. Soo-Jin Han approached with a data tablet. We've also solved the propulsion problem. Alien engines are designed for efficiency and speed. But we need maneuverability and unpredictability, so we're installing multiple small engines instead of single large ones. The result? Insu continued, will be spacecraft that can accelerate, decelerate, and change direction faster than anything in their fleet. They'll be smaller, but much harder to hit. While the engineers worked on technology, other teams prepared for combat operations. But this wouldn't be the defensive guerrilla warfare they had been fighting. This would be aggressive assault missions, designed to carry the fight directly to the enemy. Kyung-min, Oh briefed his expanded team of hunters, now equipped with captured alien weapons and armor. The surface is still mostly uninhabitable from the bombardment, but that actually works in our favor. The aliens don't expect anyone to be operating up there. What's the mission? Asked Haiwan Jung, who had volunteered for combat duty despite being a doctor. We're going to take out their ground-based communication arrays, Kyung-min explained. Cut the link between their ships and their surface forces. Make them blind and deaf. How do we get past their sensors? Asked Yuna Kong. Simple, Kyung-min replied. We move during their sleep cycles. When their attention is lowest, we use their own equipment against them, and we take advantage of something they don't understand about humans. Which is? We're persistence hunters. We don't have to win quickly. We just have to keep going until they give up. The first human counterattack launched at what the aliens considered their safest hour. During their species' natural rest period, when most of their forces were inactive, and their sensors were running on automatic, human teams emerged from hidden tunnels across the burned landscape. They moved in small groups, carrying alien weapons and wearing modified alien armor. To enemy sensors, they looked like hegemony patrols. "Target acquired," whispered Kyung-min into his communicator. "Alien communication array, lightly defended." "Copy. That," replied Shung-ho from the command center. "Execute at your discretion." The attack was swift and precise. Human teams used alien weapons to destroy alien equipment, then disappeared back underground before reinforcements could arrive. But they left behind something interesting. Modified alien communication devices that looked damaged, but were actually broadcasting human signals. "Excellent work," reported Bo-Ram Shin from her communications station. "We now have direct access to their command network. We can listen to everything they say and inject our own messages into their system." Similar attacks occurred across the colony's perimeter. Communication arrays, sensor stations, supply depots, and vehicle parks all suffered mysterious equipment failures. The aliens never saw their attackers clearly, never got good sensor readings, and never understood how their own equipment was being turned against them. "Sir," reported Commander Zax to General Vorthak, "we're experiencing systematic equipment failures across all ground installations." "Sabotage?" Vorthak asked. "Possibly, sir, but the strange thing is that the failures all look like accidents or system malfunctions. Our technical teams can't find evidence of tampering." "Then how do you know it's sabotage?" "Because the failure rate is statistically impossible, sir. Equipment that worked perfectly for years is suddenly breaking down in coordinated patterns." What the aliens didn't understand was that humans had been studying their technology for days. Every captured weapon, every recovered component, every intercepted signal had been analyzed by human engineers who specialized in making things work under impossible conditions. "The beauty of it," explained Wu Jin to his engineering team, "is that we're not actually breaking their equipment. We're just making it work differently." "How so?" asked Su Jin. "We're introducing minor modifications that cause cascade failures. A small change in one component leads to stress in another component, which leads to failure in a third component. To them, it looks like random equipment breakdown. To us, it's precision sabotage. The psychological impact on the alien forces was severe. Professional soldiers could handle direct combat, but they struggled with the constant uncertainty of never knowing which piece of equipment might fail next." "Sir," reported a Krex commander, "my troops are requesting permission to withdraw to the ships. They don't trust their equipment anymore." "Sir," added a Krix officer, "our sensor networks are unreliable. We're getting false readings and phantom contacts. My units can't distinguish between real threats and equipment malfunctions." Vorthak studied reports from across his ground forces. What had started as technical difficulties was becoming widespread system failure. His army was being defeated not by human weapons, but by human understanding of how things worked. "Commander Zax," he ordered, "begin withdrawal of all ground forces. Consolidate aboard the ships." "Sir, that will leave us with no surface presence. The surface presence isn't accomplishing anything except creating casualties and equipment losses." But as the alien forces began their withdrawal, they discovered that the humans had one more surprise waiting for them. The spacecraft that In-Soo Park and his team had been building in secret began launching from hidden underground bays. Small, fast, and nearly invisible to alien sensors, these hybrid vessels rose through the atmosphere like hunting predators. "Sir," shouted Vorthak's tactical officer, "we have multiple small craft approaching the fleet. They appeared from nowhere." "Impossible. Our sensors show no launch facilities on the surface. They must have launched from underground, sir. And, sir, They're using our own identification codes. On the lead human craft, Sung-Ho Kim smiled as he watched alien ships struggle to identify the approaching vessels. They can't tell if we're enemies or their own returning patrols. Maintaining radio silence, reported his pilot, Na-Young Lee. Let them wonder. The human counterattack had begun. After days of defense, survival, and psychological warfare, the humans were finally carrying the fight to their enemies, and they were using the aliens' own technology to do it. The human assault craft moved through space with deadly precision. In the lead ship, Sung-Ho Kim watched tactical displays that showed the alien fleet in perfect detail. After days of studying captured equipment, the humans understood hegemony technology better than many of the aliens using it. "Approaching the flagship," reported pilot Na-Young Lee. "Their sensors still can't distinguish us from their own returning patrols." "Perfect," Sung-Ho replied. "All teams maintain formation. Remember, we're not here to destroy their ships. We're here to deliver a message." Behind him, Min-Ho Kim checked his equipment one final time. The former Special Forces officer had volunteered to lead the boarding team that would carry out the mission's most dangerous phase. "Min-Ho," Sung-Ho said, "are you sure about this? We could accomplish the objective without direct confrontation." Min-Ho smiled. "The general wanted to meet humans face to face. I think it's time we accommodated his request." Aboard Vorthak's flagship, confusion reigned in the command center. The small craft approaching the fleet transmitted proper identification codes, but their design didn't match any known hegemony vessels. "Sir," reported the communications officer, "the lead craft is requesting permission to dock. They claim to be returning reconnaissance units." "From where?" Vorthak demanded. "We haven't launched any reconnaissance missions." "Unknown, sir, but their codes are authentic." Commander Zax studied sensor readings with growing alarm. "Sir, those craft are using modified hegemony technology, but the modifications are unusual." "Unusual how?" "They appear to be more efficient than our standard designs. Better power management, superior maneuverability, enhanced defensive capabilities. It's as if someone took our technology and improved it." Vorthak's 4 eyes narrowed. "The humans, sir, those aren't our ships. They're human ships built from our technology." Before anyone could respond, the lead human craft attached itself to the flagship's docking bay. Cutting tools that should have taken hours to breach the hull accomplished the task in minutes. The humans had learned not just how hegemony ships were built, but how to take them apart. "Hull breach on docking bay 7, reported the tactical officer. "Intruders aboard." "How many?" Vorthak asked. "Sensors indicate 12 individuals, sir." 12? Vorthak laughed grimly. "They sent 12 soldiers to capture a ship with, 3,000 crew members?" "Sir," Zack said quietly. "Remember what we learned about human pack hunting tactics." The laughter died in Vorthak's throat. Min-Ho Kim led his team through the alien ship's corridors with the confidence of someone who had studied the vessel's blueprints for hours. Behind him, 11 other humans moved in perfect coordination, their captured alien weapons held ready. But they weren't planning to fight their way to the command center. They had a better plan. "Haewon," Min-Ho called to the team's medical officer. "Deploy the atmospheric modifiers." Dr. Haewon Jung activated devices that began releasing a gas mixture into the ship's air circulation system. Not a poison or a weapon, but something far more effective, a mixture of gases that would make the alien crew drowsy and confused while having no effect on humans. "Atmospheric composition shifting throughout the ship," reported In-Soo Park, who was monitoring the ship's environmental systems from his portable computer. "Oxygen levels optimized for human performance, reduced for alien efficiency." "How long before it takes effect?" Min-Ho asked. "The smaller species will start feeling it in about 10 minutes, Haewon replied. "The larger ones might take 20 minutes, but none of them will be operating at full capacity." Meanwhile, other members of the team worked on different objectives. Woo Jin Park and Soo Jin Han accessed the ship's computer systems, downloading technical specifications while uploading viruses designed to disrupt hegemony military networks. "We're in their central database," Woo Jin reported, "copying everything: ship designs, weapon specifications, tactical manuals, star charts, command codes. Also uploading our educational materials," Soo Jin added with a grin. "Every ship in their fleet is about to receive a complete download of human history, biology, and military doctrine." The aliens' response was predictably aggressive. Security teams rushed toward the intruder's location, but they found something unexpected. The humans weren't trying to hide or avoid contact. They were moving directly toward the command center, cutting through opposition with ruthless efficiency. "Sir," reported a security commander to Vorthak, "the humans they're not fighting like invaders." "Explain." "They're fighting like hunters, sir. Coordinated, precise, and completely focused on their target. They're not trying to control territory or capture equipment. They're hunting something specific." "Or someone," Zax added quietly. In the ship's corridor system, Minho's team demonstrated why humans had become Earth's apex predator. They moved in perfect coordination, each member knowing exactly where the others were at all times. Their weapons fire was precise and economical. Their tactics adapted instantly to changing conditions. But most importantly, they showed no fear. Alien security forces, trained for decades in military combat, found themselves facing opponents who seemed to consider violence as natural as breathing. "Contact ahead," reported Kyung Min. "Oh!" who was serving as the team's scout. "Heavy security, presence, outside the command center." "Standard formation," Minho ordered. "Remember, we want prisoners, not casualties. The objective is communication, not conquest." The battle for the command center lasted exactly 7 minutes. When it was over, 12 humans stood in the flagship's most secure area, surrounded by unconscious alien guards. Not dead, simply overwhelmed by opponents who had spent their entire evolutionary history learning to hunt in packs. The command center's blast doors sealed automatically, trapping the security forces outside. Inside, General Vorthak faced the humans with his personal guard of elite warriors. "So," Vorthak said, raising his 4 arms in a combat stance, "the mammals finally show their true nature." Minho Kim stepped forward, his captured alien weapon held casually at his side. "General, I think there's been a misunderstanding." "About what?" "About who the predators are in this situation." Vorthak's personal guards, veterans of 100 battles, attacked with the fury of seasoned warriors. They were stronger than humans, faster than humans, and armed with weapons designed to kill efficiently. It didn't matter. The humans moved like a coordinated organism. When one guard attacked Minho, 3 humans responded simultaneously from different angles. When another guard tried to flank the team, he found his path blocked by opponents who had predicted his movement. "This is impossible," one of the guards gasped as he was systematically disarmed by Haiwan Jung, who used her medical knowledge of alien anatomy to target nerve clusters and pressure points. "Not impossible," Haiwan replied calmly. "Just evolution." Within minutes, Vorthak stood alone in his command center, his elite guards unconscious around him. The humans hadn't even seemed to exert themselves. They had simply applied overwhelming tactical superiority to a problem that required solving. "Now," Minho said, "I believe we had an appointment to discuss cultural customs." Vorthak stared at the human with a mixture of rage and something that might have been respect. "You came here to kill me." "No," Minho replied. "We came here to teach you something." "Teach me what?" Hyunwoo Park's voice came through the ship's communication system. The colony administrator had been monitoring the mission from the underground command center. "General Vorthak," Hyunwoo said, "when you first visited our world, we told you about our customs regarding guests. I remember. You ignored our customs. You threatened our families. You destroyed our surface installations. You forced us to defend ourselves. Your point? Our point, said Minho, looking directly at the alien general, is that you're still in our territory, above our world, threatening our people, and you still haven't observed proper guest etiquette. Vorthak's 4 eyes blazed with fury. I am not your guest. You're in our star system, Yunwu continued, above our world, using our resources. That makes you a guest, whether you accept it or not, and we told you very clearly what our customs require. Vorthak looked around his command center. His ship was compromised, his guards defeated, his fleet confused and demoralized. 12 humans had accomplished what entire armies had failed to do against him. What do you want? He asked finally. The same thing we wanted when you first arrived, Minho replied. Respect for our customs. You want me to bow? We want you to understand, Hyunwoo said through the communicator, that when someone visits our world, they follow our rules, not the other way around. Vorthak studied the humans surrounding him. They weren't cruel or vengeful. They weren't even particularly angry. They were simply implacable, like a force of nature that couldn't be reasoned with or deterred. If I refuse, then you'll learn what happens when guests become rude, Minho said calmly. So far, we've been polite. We've captured your soldiers instead of killing them. We've disabled your equipment instead of destroying it. We've boarded your ship instead of blowing it up. But if you continue to threaten our families, added Haiwan Jung, we'll stop being polite. Throughout the fleet, alien commanders watched their tactical displays with growing horror. The flagship systems were being systematically compromised. Communication networks were failing.